Because, there were many things that we knew would happen. Many things. I'm not here, so I told you so.
So Kamala is saying, I told you so, but not saying I told you so? Okay. Well, we told you so the first time you ran for president. We told you so the second time that you wasn't going to win. And you're doing what you always do. No agenda, no solutions. Just speaking on what Trump is doing while you do nothing. Politics as usual for Kamala. Pardon the noise, y'all. I know I got my dishwasher going. So I apologize the noise that Kamala is back making.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre claiming she could not recall a single video of then President Biden appearing confused. Listen to her testimony before the House Oversight Committee last month.
There were instances where videos were circulated of President Biden appearing confused or freezing for a moment that were real, correct?
Not that I recall. What we were trying to lift up was something that was very, very clear that what they were showing was not actually what was happening.
I do not recall. That video just released in June of 2024, Jean-Pierre calling the videos showing Biden looking confused cheap fakes. Remember that? She was pressed on those claims by oversight Republicans as part of their investigation into Biden's cognitive abilities. Well, former White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre claiming she could not recall.
Greetings, welcome to Kiy NY7. I was just showing some highlights. Basically, I was being funny with Black Queens or whatever, but how y'all doing? Iron Fist, what's up? They're turning on him, so I'm just wondering if y'all see it. Like, some is subtle and then some is blatant, but it's just kind of interesting to me the timing of everything. You see in my thumbnails, like they both have new books. Karine, she happens to have a new look too. Kamala is saying that she didn't even have a chance to win. And then she's like, she's gearing up to possibly run again. Karine is saying now she's an independent because of the experience that she had as a Democrat. So it's interesting, but she's getting pushback from people that she's speaking on about this with the public and the media and having a book. It's like people are more coming against her and not like really receiving her in like the right way or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's just funny how like the tables have turned. Like they were so Biden, and now it's like, oh well, I didn't really say that, and I just wouldn't. So I want to show some clips from that. Kamala Harris has a book out, which a lot of people know, but the things she says in the book are, it's just showing that she's grown a disdain for her experience as vice president. As not saying she's not a Democrat, but she's saying that she had a hard time, and she's blaming Biden though, not the fact that maybe she could have did better when she ran or anything like that. So it's just it seems like she's just turning on him. So just wondering what y'all think. Feel free to answer the poll that's in the chat. The other thing, and then I'm gonna show some more of that. I did want to say too, the not in my thumbnail, but in the title is Hurricane Melissa that hit the DR, Haiti, and it was very rough on Jamaica. The day before it happened, I remember coming on here because they did research and they were saying that, it's going to be the worst one that Jamaica has seen, the worst storm. But it's like there's controversy where you have Americans, it's like, it looks like African Americans from what I know, they're dragging them for not appropriately having things better for them as tourists, even though there's this extreme hurricane going on. So I just did want to show some clips from that too. In just a second, I'll show some of that. Because it's just like it's making American, at least I don't know, it's making American women from African American women is all they show. So it's making it look like they're just too sedity, just not understanding with the situation. You know, I don't know if y'all feel that. Or do you feel like, hey, if you're a tourist somewhere, you should be taken care of and they should be even more prepared because they are a high risk hurricane zone? You know, I don't know, but I think they just dragged it and I think they went about it, they didn't go about it the wrong way. So I want to show some.
Know them side. Them side are supposed to say like this, and I told them. See him. Let's see next one. So you are not saying, what time you will lady and everything, and the thing is there.
This town was bad, devastated. It was very bad. Every roof was off the house. Every roof. It didn't spare nobody. Every tree was off. All the trees, everything, every building. It was devastated. It's not good. No light, no water. I want to go back to New York. I want to go home. I got enough of this. It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, I don't go to Kingston because Kingston is far away. I don't know nothing about Kingston. I can't go. This is where I always take my plane. This is where I come, and this is nearer to my house. So I don't want to go to Kingston. No, I don't. I'd rather go where I come, right here, Montego Bay.
Feeding us pastries for breakfast, and we still had to pay full price to stay here? Like, come on.
May I ask where you're going now?
We going to get something to eat.
Everything closed across the street. Everything closed. Gas station, shopping mall, everything closed.
So what are y'all doing for gas? You all knew this storm was coming, right? So you're going to give us bag lunches, bag breakfast, some pastries? That's so disrespectful.
Mercy, another video there alone, there's another video as well. Let me go and play that for you guys.
Everything that Grand Palladium gave us for breakfast this morning. Pastries, fruit juice, two club socials, and apple. And I'm assuming this is yogurt. It's just two of us, my husband and I.
All right, hopefully I didn't lose y'all. Getting a little confused. Something. All right, that was supposed to play, but then a different one was supposed to play, not that one. All right. But you get the gist of it. There was a lot of people complaining that are in the islands now, doing more live streams, and it's like I guess they doing all they can do, but I did question why they didn't have more food available for people as they come anyway. Like regardless of the hurricane, why was there no food really there? So I still question that. At least being on an island over there. There was one more story too that I wanted to get to. My equipment's getting hot too. I'm not sure if I should come back onto that, but I did.
Them know them side. Them side is supposed after that this night. Told them. See him. Let's see next one. So you are massive. What time you will be on over
The storm was bad, devastated. It was very bad. Every roof was off the house. Every roof. It didn't spare nobody. Every tree was off. All the trees, everything, every building. It was devastated. It's not good. No light, no water. I want to go back to New York.
Or the
I can't deal with that wig. So I know it's a hurricane and maybe I can't deal with it. Like, I don't know. I just feel like even in the midst of a hurricane, again, like, you gotta watch what you have on your head. It's turning colors, there's toxins and stuff, and now they're bringing it up to how, figure has stuff in it. You gotta be careful killing yourself, basically. I don't know. Y'all might think it's a stretch. I think some people are just straight up killing themselves.
Kamala Harris reveals her thoughts about President Biden's decision not to run for re-election. The Atlantic just published excerpts from her new book. She writes, quote, "It's Joe and Jill's decision. We all said that like a mantra, as if we'd all been hypnotized. Was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high. This wasn't a choice that should have been left to an individual's ego, an individual's ambition. It should have been more than a personal decision."
What is Kamala talking about? So those are some inserts from her book. She's saying like not ego and all these different things. She didn't have to step up. She didn't have to run as vice president. There's people that say, I'm not, but when you take the position, at least of vice president, you're expected to stand in for the president if he can't, right? So why would you not feel like if they say, hey, why don't you go ahead and just run? You ran before for president. You just sucked and you lost. So now you have maybe 7-8 months to prepare for a presidency and you couldn't do it. But with great leadership, you should have been able to jump in and go with it. Her angles were too weak. So all the yelling and everything that certain communities started doing, Black celebrities started doing and yelling at everybody, all that stuff, that didn't work out. So now we have the book. I think I said before too, I was thinking about getting it.
Now, on the other hand, she challenges the notion that there was a White House cover-up. She writes, quote, "Many people want to spin up a narrative of some big conspiracy at the White House to hide Joe Biden's infirmity. Here is the truth as I lived it. Joe Biden was a smart guy with long experience and deep conviction, able to discharge the duties of president. On his worst day, he was more deeply knowledgeable, more capable of exercising judgment, and far more compassionate than Donald Trump on his best. But at 81, Joe got tired. That's when his age showed in physical and verbal stumbles. I don't think it's any surprise that the debate debacle happened right after 2 back-to-back trips to Europe and a flight to the West Coast for a Hollywood fundraiser. I don't believe it was incapacity. If I believed that, I would have said so. As loyal as I am to President Biden, I am more loyal to the country." Let's get right to CNN political commentator Bakari Sellers and Maura Gillespie, former press advisor to then House Speaker John Boehner. Bakari, first to you. That first almost mea culpa, saying recklessness not to question Joe Biden's decision to run again. What do you see there?
No, I think it's right. And I think that many of us throughout this campaign, I came on the air many times over and over and over again, said that it was Joe Biden's decision whether or not he was going to run for president again. It wasn't for Jon Stewart or the Pod Save America guys or anybody else to push him out the race. It was literally his decision to make that choice. And I think what she's saying is that in hindsight, yes, it was his decision, but more people should have been involved in that decision-making process. It wasn't the kind of circular firing squad that Democrats had, which proved to be reckless in itself, but it was the fact that more people should have been allowed in Joe Biden's inner circle so that we could have a decision, because I think that we should have fully grasped that it was more than one person's ego. It was a country at stake.
Maura, what do you think of what she said about, had she believed he was incapable of doing the job, she would have spoken up?
I do think she's curtailing it a little bit to, protect the fact that she still is loyal to Joe Biden in a lot of ways. She served as his vice president. I'm sure he also recognized that the position she was in, having been a vice president prior, and knowing that, the staff can be brutal at times because it's.
All right, so that was like some of it that was going on before. It's like now that Karine has hers, her last name is Jean-Pierre, which was a little too long, so I did just put Kamala and Karine in the title. But now Karine is being she's being interviewed for the auto pen of the Biden's presidency. So that's been questioned with by the Trump administration for some time now. So they're saying, did he really sign these things and things like that? So the investigation has been underway, and her interviews, I think, are going to probably start getting more light than they're getting now. Some of the videos are low, some are high, but it's like, if you really, listen, she's given information, but it's like she's scared to answer questions. It's like, is that making or breaking the case? It's like, either way, she hasn't spoken up enough when she was press secretary. You don't have room to speak, but when she's asked questions, she always seemed like she didn't know the answer to them. I was frustrated with her during the presidency. It didn't matter what my party is, what's this or that. You have to have clear communication with the public, and I feel she kept falling short. So that's why I give Karine a hard time, because she gave us a hard time every time she stepped on that press secretary floor. She seemed so underprepared that I just couldn't stand it.
When something like this would come up, was that not the deputy press secretary or other people in the office? Did they not handle things like this?
I think what I'm trying to say is I wasn't the press secretary at the time, so this would have been something that I don't directly remember, and so I can't speak to how that played out. I mean, I said earlier that as deputy press secretary, I didn't see him as often. So this would be something that my predecessor would have handled directly and would be able to speak to.
Well, I believe that statement was walked back slightly in the aftermath. And so would something like that be what you mean by a bad day, for instance?
Look, I think what I can say is, and you guys heard it, right? People have bad days. Nobody's perfect, even presidents, in my statement, right? Like all of us. And my observation, more broadly, continues to be that he was still very much competent to do the job. And again, that's why I wanted to be really clear that we all have bad days, we all have missteps, and we're not perfect.
Maybe it's helpful if we talk about some other examples when you were press secretary. So this is on May 23rd, 2022. So just for the record, that was after you became press secretary, is that right?
Yes, for the record, yes.
So speaking alongside Japanese Prime Minister Kishida in Tokyo, President Biden was asked, quote, "Are you willing to get involved militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?" And President Biden responded, "Yes." The reporter responded, surprised, "You are?" And President Biden stated, "That's the commitment we made."
So she's there. It just feels like, I don't really notice the exact situation with the auto pen situation, to be honest, but it's just like, if there's something to cover up, she's a good cover up. she's always scared to speak up, and she doesn't really have a position in things, and it doesn't really make any sense. The Young Turks spoke on her change of political party, and I wanted to show that 'cause it was funny. To me, I think it was funny. And they also said that they feel like her comeback tour, like this is a comeback tour she's doing, and they feel that it's been a disaster. I wanted to show a little bit from 4 months ago, and then the other day. I didn't realize it was going down. I didn't. I didn't realize the audio was off just now. I just checked it, so I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna redo it. I might just restream because I kinks. And I actually started maybe 5 minutes earlier than I sat there. I knew I clicked live, but for some reason, that's I wasn't quite ready to go live just yet. I definitely didn't want to be late, and I want to come on early. That's what I tend to do. But I got a little caught up, a little ahead of myself there. But also in between all this, there's a lot going on with politics. For some reason, some things popped in my head, and I just thought it was a little funny, and I was just going to share some stories. Here and there, I'll do a little story time. I guess too, because we're talking about a lot of politics. I talk about things I don't, but I have been recently for a while, off and on. I've been talking about the moons that are coming. If we could take a moment and talk about astronomy a bit, and it brings out the passion in people. So November 5th, that's when that will be taking place. So anyone interested in things that have to do with like space or like within our solar system, things like that, and then how some of it has an effect on us, and it depends on your zodiac too. So there's some things that are vague, they're general for everyone, and then some are specific, or I would say more specific to your zodiac sign. So most of us know what that, a lot of us know what that is, but based on it's all based on your birth date. So yeah, I did want to say that. I'm big on astronomy. I'm an amateur astronomer myself. So that's something to look forward to for November 5th, particularly. Like I said, we'll have a big moon. It's a super moon, beaver moon. And with this moon, it's going to be huge. So that's what's making it even more spectacular. I think the video there we see a regular moon is kind of at a distance, but this moon is going to be very close. It may bring out the passion in people. If you have a passion, you might have put it aside or you kind of took it light. These days, right here would be the time to go ahead and push into that. I do feel like our environment. We know our environment has an effect on us, right? So what's to not say that even further out has an effect on us in different ways? And I look at the positivity in it all. And if it's something that's kind of shaky, where it's like, hey, you need to do this or be careful with that, and some of that may apply, but I look at it a little different too, so that information can feel welcoming for us. And those that come in and listen, whether you chat or not, whether you hit like or not, subscribe or not, it's something for us to think about. So I do appreciate y'all coming through. I appreciate the open-mindedness too, because I do feel like with open-mindedness, that's how success comes in. That's how information comes in. Not success, we say information, different things like that, and even more messages than you probably even dreamed of. So yeah, we have a super moon November 5th. So today is November 3rd, where we're at Monday. And so just in 2 more days, we can all look forward to seeing a super moon. So anyone interested in that, thanks for coming through. I'm Kiy NY7. If you haven't already, if you consider subscribing, hit like. It is an open chat room too, so I do invite and encourage you to come and share your thoughts on anything that's spoken on here. I just ask you to be respectful. I am. So, yeah, so that's something that's coming up. So it's big. It's going to be so close. And I don't know about y'all, but it's a lot of times it seems like the moon is closer than it should be sometimes. When I see the moon at times, I'm like, okay, y'all seeing this? This moon is like right here. Even though based on my research, it's moving further and further away from Earth every year. Small centimeters, but it's moving further away. So there's different type of views that are described with why our eyes see the moon closer sometimes and sometimes further away. It depends on the positioning of the moon and the Earth at the time. So again, that would be, a good time for passion that can come. A lot of heightened energy you might be feeling too. I don't look at just the day the moon is going to be coming closer, but the days before it and some days after. There's a lingering effect of what goes on up above us in our skies too. So it's like it lingers. So it's, I don't just look at things for just that day. Things could be heightened that day, but keep in mind too, as the moons change, things change with us too. Not just the seasons and the times, so I do like, that. And some of this information I think can help keep a balance because we've just been unbalanced people for a while. We got unbalanced leadership sometimes. Sometimes we're unbalanced citizens and everything, criminals, everybody. So, you know what I mean? What you got to lose than to look at things differently, grab a hold of more information while we're here. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Why not apply it to life and see what it's going to do? See what it's going to do. You ain't got nothing to lose. So yeah, that was basically, I wanted to just cover mostly the things with Kamala Harris and Karine Jean-Pierre and how it feels like they just turned on Biden. And it seems like it's, it's convenient because they have the books out. So good for people to write books. But speaking of writing, yesterday we had someone come through, read some poetry for us. So I'm looking, Kiy NY7. So first time meeting him, and we have some more coming up. I have a moderator too that wants to do a read for us one of these days. So that'll be real good. I'll go trial. So if you're interested in that, yeah, that would be good for y'all to come on through. And if you're someone that likes to write, my email is always in my about section. It's KIY NY0077 and actually I'll put it up in there now. This is for inquiries, type of things that have to do with content on here. So let me put that up there too. All right. And also I do really good research. I don't like how that's showing up. Why is it GM and then L.com? Like shrink the font. I don't know how to do it. But all right. KIYNY0077@gmail.com if you like to write. All right. And I'm a good resource, so at least a liaison. So if you got some issues going on and you need some help, whether it's legal help, you need somebody to do some type of research, stuff like that, I help do stuff like that too. And there's no charge. I charge it to the leader. So, why did I put it up there and take it back down? But anyway, I'll just leave it up there for a little while so that it's there. I should like ticker tape it. I really don't appreciate how it's looking. It's kind of getting on my nerves. All right. Well, like I said, November 5th, look forward to that. We got a super moon coming. And we'll just see, So I like to know positive things, what's going on up in our skies and how it has an effect on us. So that's always a good thing. All right. So I think I showed everything that I wanted to. I also showed the controversy with Hurricane Melissa. There's people that are like dragging the tourist areas and how they're not being catered to enough, and there's shortages of things. They're like, they know it's a hurricane, but it should be better than this. But the people that are there, the island, are saying, y'all knew this before y'all brought y'all high acidity butts down here. That's what they say. You know, they're basically saying you can take your African American bus back to America, take your British bus back to Britain. So, you know, I don't know how you want to look at it, because when you think about it, I think of pricing during hurricane season. Your prices are cheaper. So some people take advantage of that. They will travel when they know that it's an unpredictable season and that the weather can be horrible or bad. You just hope for the best, but you get the best price. So some people go ahead and go anyway. So there's still a lot of people that want to know why tourists even went when they knew that this extreme hurricane Melissa was coming. So, you know, it just depends. How do you value a price, you know, over this right here was almost the price of your life. You know, they complaining over croissants for breakfast when it's like, hey, just survive out there right now. But yeah, that's that. I think I'll just keep this as a shorter one. I'll put my thumbnail back up here. Because both Biden's black queens turned on him. I'm on Karine. Karine's an independent now, and Kamala got this book where she's just dissing him. But I'll say this too before I go. Tim Walz, he was a coach, right? He's a coach. He was the one that was going to be vice president running under Kamala Harris. He was so like enthusiastic. He had me going too. I mean, I like, he was inspirational. He felt like, yeah, let's go. So I was like, yeah, let's go. Where are we going? But yeah, let's go. So he was so enthusiastic and positive, right? But even as a man as so positive as he showed, and of course, when you're running, you know, you want to really kick it up a notch. But at the same time, he still was very enthusiastic. Even he said this after Kamala lost. He said, you know, Kamala does need to just grasp the loss. He said, I think that's what she needs to do. So he basically was saying, you know, he feels that she needs to really, I guess, accept that she lost. And he didn't elaborate because he probably doesn't want to come off disrespectful, but I'll add to that. You need to know why you lost. So with any race, with any match, with a lot of things we do in life, we can ignore the fact that we lost and that we've been losing and just say, oh, well, it's this person, it's that person. No, you have to do a self-inventory and say, what could I do better to win? Was there something that could have been done better for me to win? I want to know so that I can win. You don't keep going with the same thing and then you keep losing. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different person to blame and stuff like that. No, we're not doing that. And American people deserve better than that. So that's my point. None of these politicians are perfect. We know that. It would be nice to just find some that just, you know, have better than what we've had. I think that's just my point too. So if you're interested in things that have to do with the community and the communities, Astros, spirituality and things that do with intimacy, our relations, and then sometimes how we relate with one another. I think it's really underrated, intimacy. So I do like to talk about that. Just, you know, I'll have some of that coming up too. Actually, I'll make sure I have that. Because speaking of, I might do this for like a late night conversation. Oh yeah. Okay, so why am I not able to? All right, I'm not sure why I'm not able to get some thumbnails up here. That's been kind of an issue for me. I'll play a little more of this, so I'm not just doing.
As he did during our interview of him as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
Do I remember?
Do you remember that conclusion from the report?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember anybody's again from the White House communications team, or really anyone in the White House at large, about people taking particular issue with that statement?
I don't remember specific, more broadly speaking. But I think there was a feeling of like they took issue to it, but I couldn't tell you this person, that person. I don't remember having conversations, but more broadly about the feeling of those words.
Well, let's maybe we'll do the exercise that we did earlier. Pretend like it's not a quote. Would you agree with the statement that President Biden is a sympathetic, well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory?
That is not how I would characterize the president.
And sorry, not to split hairs here, but I recognize that that's not the way that you would characterize the president. But would you disagree with that statement? That he is a sympathetic, well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory.
That's not what I would agree with from my experience and observations.
And we're going to get to the debate here shortly.
All right, so I just wanted to show at least some of that from the interview. He's like, well, would you agree that he's an elderly man that's losing it? So that's basically what they asking her. You know, she's too scared to answer any questions. And that's who they picked to do the interview with. Oh, boy. So they're about a week in on that. So the Trump administration wants to, they are pursuing Biden for fraudulent auto pen. So that's what they got going on with that. Really just brought the thumbnail up here. So what happened? Oh my gosh. All right, I got it now. And then peace out. So what I got coming up. So this is a thumbnail. Let me do a preview thing too. So masculine women need love too. MFer. And then I put a question on there. Are men turned off or on by aggressive women? This one will be starring the lovely Leslie Jones. And she feels that would be hard to find. I've talked about this before in the past. It was some years back where she's complained about the same thing. So I just found it interesting. And then I was like, I'm going to show some of that and then bring it on here to just talk about, you know, kind of like what some things that may turn men on but may not. And I'm kind of curious about some of it myself because I have my thoughts on why I think she's having issues, you know, with the guys or whatever. But she's like, why don't y'all want me? Y'all should want me. Y'all should want me. And she was just on Kelly Clarkson's show recently. Which is fun. But all right, I'm gonna get to the poll. I appreciate y'all answering the question too. That was in the chat, so that's something that will be coming up. Now some other things too, Sundays that I do. So I put a question poll in the chat. It says, do you feel Kamala and Karine secretly turned on Biden? All right, so someone said no. So we have 25% said no, 75% yes. So most of y'all say, yeah, I think so too. Like it was already in the making, but they was just, I guess, just fronting this whole time, which I think that's why too the Young Turks was calling her out. And I didn't even know till recently because I've been doing my own thing and looking like, yo, now she really trying to turn on him. So like the clip that I showed, that was like from 4 months ago, and then they have a more recent one. So I think I closed it out. Just wanted to show that out because it really digs into basically what I'm looking at with this, and it's like, okay, you guys, you know what I mean? Like you have a book, but it's a little more to it than a book. You guys have these feelings that it's like y'all been hiding. And, you know, it just makes people wonder, and the timing of it all it just doesn't seem like
that come up to me. Number one question they ask me is, Karine, how do we get out of this? How do we protect our democracy? Here's the truth. Side of our boxes and not be so partisan.
Do you? Now, after years of being Joe Biden's biggest defender and also a mouthpiece for the Democratic Party, former White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, is now leaving the Democratic Party to become an independent. And I don't believe her. Okay, so she might now allegedly identify as an independent. Her actions don't really show it. Nonetheless, this shocking news comes as she announces her new book, which is titled Independent, A Look Inside a Broken White House Outside the Party Lines. It seems like this is a marketing effort for her book. And look, congratulations. Everyone's talking about this, but mostly dunking on both the Democrats and the former White House press secretary. So it's described by the publisher as a groundbreaking, revelatory assessment of America's broken two-party system. And we do have a broken two-party system. The question is, does Karine Jean-Pierre really believe the Democratic Party is broken, or is there something else going on here?
Right, yeah, that's right. Let me there was one more. Actually, we're good on that. I think we're good on that. TYT.
Okay, so you left the Democratic Party. So I remember when she said it, no, that's it, I'm an independent now. I was like, oh.
This thing is all over the place. All right, we'll go back with Kamala, then I'll just do a little more with Karine.
Put the blame on the vice president than it is to accept any blame as the president. But I do think it's interesting, and I'm curious to read more from the book as far as why she had people like Anita Dunn and Jen O'Malley Dillon in her inner circle, knowing what they were, putting on her when they were running the president's campaign. So I find it a little bit of an easy out.
It is interesting. I mean, she did bring in her own people to work alongside the campaign officials who were already there, but she does point fingers inside the Biden administration, to be sure. Let me read two more quotes. And this has to do with her time as vice president, Bakari, where she did not feel supported by the West Wing. She wrote, they, as in the White House, had a huge comms team. They had Karine Jean-Pierre briefing in the press room every day, but getting anything positive said about my work or defense against untrue attacks was almost impossible. Then Harris continues in these brand new excerpts, and when the stories were unfair or inaccurate, the president's inner circle seemed fine with it. Indeed, it seemed as if they decided I should be knocked down a little more. You were an early prominent supporter of then Senator Harris in her campaign, but I know you have connections inside. What do you think of this sentiment?
This was just to finish up. I thought I was on the screen too. So basically, they've been trying to push Kamala Harris to at least come out and say whether she's willing to, if she's going to run for the next presidency or not. So there's a push for that. They know they got these books out, but it just seemed like backstabbing books. But this is just to finish out with. All right, my bad. I'm not sure why I did that again, but it happens. So I'm gonna get this done.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris is hinting at a comeback in 2028 after losing to President Trump last year.
When are they going to see a woman in charge in the White House?
In their lifetime, for sure.
You say in your book, I'm not done. That is correct. I am not done.
And our next guest, who has worked alongside the former vice president during the Biden-Harris administration, recently revealed that she didn't actually believe Harris could win the 2024 election. Let's bring in former White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, author of the new book, Independent: A Look Inside a Broken White House, Outside the Party Lines. In it, the former press secretary explains why she left the Democratic Party and defends former President Biden's mental acuity, among a whole host of other hot-button topics. So, Karine, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I want to start with the question that I've heard from many of your readers already. So in the book, you're arguing that we need to break the two-party system mold. You say that you now identify as an independent. And yet in the book, you still do spend much of your time defending Democratic leadership and pushing back against the concerns of the Democratic base. In fact, you even felt that Kamala Harris deserved more support at times, even if you didn't think personally that necessarily she was going to be able to win. So why leave? And
all right, so that about wraps it up. Hope to see y'all back here on the channel. At times, I do tend to have a unique perspective on things. I do have information I put together, put out there, and helping conversation to just engage with infotainment and possibly solve some problems. All right, I'm Kiy NY7, and I appreciate y'all for coming through. Thanks. Peace.
Repeat that. Are you sure, motherfucker? That's you, motherfucker. Mind your tongue. You talk to me. I'll slap you, you idiot. Get out of here. Get out of here. You bang your bloody god. Yeah. If you want to go, then you go to hill and go down. Why you get fired, man? Why? Are you crazy? You're fucking...
Oh yeah, before I go, by the way, thanks for there was one more vote too that came through on the poll question that I put in the chat. I asked, do you feel Kamala and Karine secretly turned on Biden? I'll say turned on. That sounds like a turn on. Turned on Biden. So, all right, most people still said yes, that's 60%, and 40% said no. All right. All right, peace. Hope to see you or feel you back. Peace.